Cancer. There is a thought you have been turning over for weeks, perhaps months, perhaps longer. The thought has different surface forms depending on the day. Sometimes it sounds like, am I making the right choices about love? Sometimes it sounds like, am I missing signs I should be picking up? Sometimes it sounds like, why is this taking so long? The thought has become a kind of background music in your interior life, playing at low volume but never quite turning off. I want to start this reading by acknowledging the thought, not to amplify it, but to gently let it sit down. Because what is approaching you is not actually contingent on whether you figure out the thought. The thought has been doing its job, but its job is now ending. The thinking phase is closing. The encountering phase is opening. The two phases are governed by different inner mechanics, and the mechanics that produce a meeting are not the same as the mechanics that produce clarity through contemplation. You can stop thinking your way toward this. The thinking has done what it can do. What comes next does not require any more of it. I want to describe what overthinking actually is in the context of approaching love, because I think a clearer picture will help you release it. Overthinking in matters of the heart is what the mind does when it is trying to compensate for the absence of confirming external evidence. The mind, sensing that it does not yet have the data it needs to feel certain about an outcome, generates internal data to fill the gap. It runs scenarios. It rehearses conversations. It analyzes past experiences for patterns that might predict future ones. It does all of this with the best intentions. It is trying to keep you safe by anticipating. The problem is that the gap the mind is trying to fill is not actually fillable through more thinking. The gap is a real world gap. It exists because the actual person you are about to meet is not yet present in your life. No amount of mental work will produce them in advance. They will arrive when they arrive. The thinking has been a way of trying to bring them closer through interior labor. Release the labor. They are closer than the labor would suggest, closer than the thinking has been able to register. I want to take you into the actual approach now, because the approach is the substance of this reading. There is someone who is about to enter the territory of your life in a way that will shift gently but completely the trajectory of what you have been imagining for yourself. The shifting is going to be unmistakable, even though the moment of meeting will be quiet. After the meeting, things will look different, not in dramatic ways, in structural ways. The frame through which you have been viewing your life is going to expand to include this person, and the expansion will reveal that the frame had been narrower than it needed to be. You will see your life with more aperture. The wider view will become permanent. Let me tell you about this person in a particular way. I am not going to describe them through their attributes because I have done that in other readings, and I want to give you something different here. I want to describe them through how being around them is going to feel. The feeling is the more accurate signature anyway. Attributes can be matched by many people. The feeling is specific, and it is the feeling that will tell you who this person is when you encounter them. Being around this person is going to feel first like a particular kind of slowing, not a tiring slowing, a settling slowing. The pace of your interior life will adjust downward when you are with them in a way that initially surprises you. You will notice that thoughts that usually race are moving more like a leisurely walk. Sentences are forming with more time between them. The hurry that has been a low-grade companion in your daily life will, in their presence, seem strange and unnecessary. You will wonder, briefly, why you have been hurrying. The wondering is a useful question. But the more interesting fact is that the wondering becomes possible only because of the slowing their presence produces. Second, being around this person is going to feel like being seen without having to explain yourself. There is a particular quality of attention that some people offer, in which they perceive what is true about you without requiring you to articulate it. You have probably encountered glimpses of this in your life, but it has not been a consistent feature of your relationships. It is going to be a consistent feature of this one. They will know things about you that you have not told them, and the knowing will not feel invasive. It will feel like relief. The relief of not having to construct yourself for someone else's understanding. The relief of being met where you actually are. This relief, when it arrives, is going to do something to your nervous system that previous relationships have not been able to do. It is going to convince some part of you that has been bracing for a long time that the bracing is no longer required. Third, being around this person is going to feel like spaciousness, not just literal spaciousness, although there may be that as well. Spaciousness in the relational sense. There is going to be room around you when you are with them. Room to be quiet, room to be talkative, room to be strange, room to be ordinary, room to disagree without the disagreement becoming a problem, room to need things and to articulate the needing without performing the articulation. This room is hard to find in many connections because most connections develop with implicit constraints that limit how much of either person can show up. The connection you are about to enter is going to be unusually spacious. You will be able to bring more of yourself into it than you have been able to bring into previous relationships. The bringing will be one of the most liberating experiences of your life. Fourth, being around this person is going to feel like coming home, not in the cliched sense of that phrase, but in a quieter and more accurate sense. You will recognize in their presence certain features of your own life that you have not been able to fully access on your own. Not because you are incomplete without them, but because some aspects of who you are require a certain kind of relational context to be activated. They are the relational context that activates those aspects. You will discover through being with them capacities in yourself that have been latent, ways of loving that you have not yet expressed, ways of being playful that have not had a partner, ways of being serious that have not had a witness who could hold the seriousness without becoming heavy. The activation of these latent capacities is going to feel in some way like coming into more of yourself. That coming into yourself in their presence is what I mean by coming home. I want to address the fact that you have been waiting for this for a long time, and that the waiting has had its own complicated emotional weather. There have been periods when you felt confident that this would arrive eventually. There have been periods when you doubted it. There have been periods when you stopped thinking about it altogether because thinking about it became too tender. All of these periods were valid. None of them were failures. The waiting itself, with all its variations, has been part of what has prepared you. You have not been wasting time. You have been gestating a version of yourself that is ready for a particular kind of partnership. And gestation is not always emotionally pleasant, but it is always meaningful. The end of the waiting is approaching. The version of yourself that has been gestating is now mature enough to step into what it has been preparing for. This is Cancer Tarot, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge something about the difficulty of trusting predictions like this when you have been waiting for a while. There is a particular kind of caution that develops in people who have wanted something for a long time. They become reluctant to fully invest in any new prediction of its arrival because investing too much in previous predictions has produced disappointments. The reluctance is healthy. It protects you from being knocked around by every new bit of optimism that comes your way. I am not asking you to abandon this protective stance. I am asking you to hold the message I am bringing through with the same balanced openness you might bring to any communication that arrives without proof. Test it against what unfolds. Let the unfolding be the verifier. Whatever happens, you will know in time whether what is being said is accurate. You do not have to commit to belief or disbelief now. The future will tell you. I want to walk through how the early stages of this connection are going to develop, because the development has a particular pattern that I want you to be able to recognize as it unfolds. The first phase after the initial meeting is going to be characterized by what I will call quiet noticing. Both of you will be noticing each other in ways that are not yet declarative. You will think about them between encounters. They will think about you between encounters. The thinking will not yet have a name. Neither of you will be sure in this phase what to make of the noticing. This is normal. Important connections often begin this way, with a period of mutual private attention before either party has worked out whether to act on it. The second phase will be characterized by tentative reaching. One of you will reach toward the other in a small, deniable way, a casual message, a reason to be in proximity that could be interpreted multiple ways. The reaching will be noticed by the other and will be received with a small internal flutter that is also deniable. Both of you will be testing the possibility without committing to it. This testing phase is more important than it sometimes seems. The way you handle it will set the tone for everything that comes after. I would suggest gently that you not overinterpret these early reachings, but also that you not dismiss them. Receive them at their actual weight. Respond at their actual weight. Let the weight increase as both of you decide simultaneously and gradually that increase is appropriate. The third phase will be characterized by recognition. There will be a moment somewhere in the early development of the connection when both of you understand that this is not casual. The understanding will arrive on both sides at approximately the same time, although you may not realize that until later. After this moment, the dynamic will shift. The deniability will be set aside. Both of you will start to engage with the connection on the assumption that it is meaningful, even if you have not yet articulated what kind of meaningful dumb. The articulation will come in its own time. For now, the recognition is enough. The fourth phase will be characterized by deepening. Once recognition has occurred, the relationship will begin to gather depth. Conversations will go further than they did before. Time spent together will produce more than time spent before. Each interaction will add something to the foundation, not as effortful work, but as the natural accumulation of two people who are choosing to keep showing up. The deepening will not feel forced. It will feel, paradoxically, both surprising and inevitable. You will be surprised by how easily it is happening, and you will also recognize that given who the two of you are, it could not have happened any other way. The fifth phase, which extends well beyond the time frame of this reading, but which is worth naming, will be characterized by integration. The relationship will become woven into the fabric of your continuing life. The two of you will be moving towards shared structures, shared rhythms, shared decisions about the future. The integration is what eventually leads to the formalization of the partnership, in whatever form that formalization takes. But integration is gradual. Do not rush toward it. Let it happen at the speed it wants to happen. The relationships that integrate naturally tend to be more durable than those that are forced into integration prematurely. I want to address something specific about your tendency to overthink, because I sense it is going to try to interfere during this unfolding The mind that has been working hard to figure things out is going to try to apply its tools to the new connection. It will want to analyze each interaction. It will want to predict what each communication means. It will want to construct elaborate models of the other person's psychology and motivations. None of this is going to be useful. Real connections are not figured out through analysis. They are revealed through experience. The mind's analytical tools, while valuable in many domains, become a hindrance in this one. They generate more uncertainty than they resolve because they keep producing scenarios that might be true but cannot be verified. The practice I want to suggest is a kind of substitution. When the analytical mind begins running its scenarios, gently substitute attention to the actual present moment of the relationship. What is actually happening right now? What is actually being said right now? What does the actual texture of this interaction feel like, not in light of what it might mean, but as itself? The present moment of any relationship is more reliable than any scenario the mind can construct about it. The present moment also provides, over time, all the information you need about whether the relationship is what it appears to be. You do not have to figure things out in advance. You only have to be present to what is actually unfolding. The unfolding will reveal what you need to know on its own schedule without requiring your interpretive labor. I want to say something about the timing of the meeting itself. The meeting is closer than your skeptical mind would estimate. The conditions are converging. You are inside the window. I cannot give you a date. I will not pretend to. But the window is open and active. In the period this reading is meant to address, the meeting takes place. Live with this knowledge lightly. Do not try to engineer the encounter. Do not adjust your behavior in hopes of producing it. The encounter will occur naturally, in a context that you are not currently anticipating. Your job is not to find them. Your job is to keep being yourself in the context you would have inhabited anyway, with a slight extra openness to whoever crosses your awareness during this period. I want to take a moment to address the people you have considered in the past as potential partners but who did not work out. These previous experiences have left various deposits in you. Some of the deposits are useful. They have taught you what you actually want and what you cannot tolerate. Some of the deposits are less useful. They have produced patterns of expectation that may not apply to the new connection. Specifically, you may have a tendency to evaluate new potential partners through the lens of how things went wrong in past situations. This is a defensive maneuver designed to prevent repetition of pain. I understand it, but it can become a filter that obscures the actual texture of someone new. The person you are about to meet is not the people you have met before. They are a different person with a different signature. Your previous filters may not register them accurately. Be willing to let them be themselves rather than versions of people you have known. I want to mention something about the quality of self-trust you are going to need to bring to the early stages of this connection. You are going to receive impressions of this person that may not always match what your analytical mind would conclude from the available evidence. Trust the impressions. Your intuition has been refining itself for a long time, and it is more accurate now than it has ever been. When you sense that something about this person is good, even when you cannot fully articulate why, trust the sensing. When you sense that something requires your attention, even when the situation does not yet present clear evidence for the sensing, trust it. Your intuition is a precision instrument. It is going to be more useful than your analysis throughout the unfolding of this connection. The analysis can confirm things after the fact. The intuition can sense things in advance. Use both, but lead with the intuition. I want to address a particular concern that may be running underneath your reception of this message. There may be a part of you wondering whether you are actually going to be able to recognize this person when they arrive. The concern is that you might be standing right next to them in some moment of mutual presence and miss what is actually happening because you are distracted, or because the moment does not match your expectations, or because you are too caught up in your own thoughts to register what is in front of you. I understand this concern. I want to gently reassure you. The recognition that is going to occur between you and this person is not going to require you to be unusually alert. The recognition is going to find you, even if you are distracted, even if the moment seems ordinary, even if you are not feeling particularly tuned in. Connections of this caliber have a way of breaking through whatever fog the recipient happens to be in. You will know. The knowing will not be conditional on your ideal mental state. The knowing is built into the encounter itself. Here on Cancer Tarot, I want to share something I think is the most important thing in this reading. The relationship that is approaching is not going to be a relationship in which you have to work hard to be understood. This is significant because much of relational life, for most people, involves a continuous low-level effort to translate yourself into terms the other person can process. You have probably been doing this kind of translation in many relationships throughout your life. And with this person, the translation will not be required. They will understand you in your own native idiom. You will not have to make yourself simpler, more accessible, more digestible. You will get to be yourself in your own complexity, your own depth, your own particular flavor, and they will receive it without difficulty. The absence of the translation work is going to free up enormous interior energy that has been engaged in translation for a long time. You will be amazed at how much energy you have when you no longer have to spend it making yourself legible. The freed energy will be available for everything else in your life. I want to mention something about the future shape of this partnership. As it develops, it is going to produce changes in your daily life that go beyond the simple presence of another person. You will move differently. Your decisions will incorporate considerations they did not previously incorporate. Your sense of what is possible will expand. Your tolerance for what is mediocre in your life will decrease because the relationship will be raising the standard of what good can look like, and the raised standard will become a reference point for everything else. You will, over time, find yourself releasing relationships, situations, and patterns that no longer measure up to the standard the partnership has established. This releasing is not coldness. It is appropriate calibration. Your life is becoming more aligned with what you actually want, and the alignment requires letting go of what does not fit. I want to address marriage directly, because the title of this reading invokes it. Marriage in this context is not going to be a forced milestone. It is going to be a natural unfolding of the partnership, reaching the point where formalization makes sense. The two of you will arrive at the consideration of marriage at approximately the same time, through approximately the same logic, without significant negotiation. The conversation about marriage will feel, when it happens, like an acknowledgement of something that has already been clear, rather than the introduction of a new question. This is how marriages of substance tend to occur. They are recognitions, not decisions. The decision-making aspects are practical. The recognition is the deeper layer. I want to address the financial dimension briefly because it has come up in related readings, and I want to be clear about what I am sensing without overemphasizing it. The partnership you are entering is going to bring a kind of material stability to your life that you have not previously had. This stability is real, but it is not the central feature of the relationship. The central feature is the relational substance. The stability is a context within which the substance gets to flourish. Do not let the stability become the headline. Let it be what it is, a supportive context, while keeping your attention on the substance, which is what the relationship will actually be made of. I want to spend a moment addressing your worth because I sense some part of you is still sorting out whether you fully believe you are entitled to a relationship of this caliber. The doubts about deservingness are not unique to you. They are common in people who have experienced disappointing relationships in the past. Some part of the psyche concludes, after enough disappointments, that relationships at the highest caliber are not really for it. The conclusion is wrong. It is also persistent, even when you intellectually know it is wrong. The way through this is not to argue with the conclusion. It is to gather evidence that contradicts it and to let the evidence do its work over time. The relationship that is approaching will be the most significant piece of evidence you have ever received. Let it land. Let it teach you by its existence that you are worth this caliber of love. The teaching may take time to fully integrate. That is okay. The teaching is permanent. It will integrate eventually. I want to talk about what it is going to feel like in the months after the relationship has stabilized, to look back at the period before it. There will be a kind of soft, retrospective tenderness for the version of yourself that was waiting, that was wondering, that was trying to figure things out. You will recognize from the position of the established relationship how much that earlier version was carrying. The carrying will become visible to you in retrospect in a way that it was not fully visible while you were doing it. This retrospective recognition will produce a particular kind of gratitude, not for the difficulty of the waiting, but for the strength you developed by enduring it. The strength is yours. It will continue to serve you in the partnership and in everything else. But the recognition that you developed it will deepen the gratitude you have for your own life. I want to leave you with a practical suggestion for the period right before the meeting. Make space in your life for new things to enter. This does not mean dramatic restructuring. It means the small acts of clearing that signal energetically that you are open to receiving. Clean a corner of your living space. Resolve a small thing that has been pending. Send a message you have been meaning to send. These small acts have a cumulative effect on the field around you. They communicate to you and to the universe that you are not fully invested in the current configuration of your life. There is room for additions. The addition is approaching. The making of space helps it find its way to you. I also want to suggest that you not announce this expectation to others. Keep it in your own interior. The energy of an approaching meeting is more effective when it is held privately. When it is shared, it can dilute. People around you may have their own opinions about whether you are likely to meet someone significant, and their opinions, even when supportive, can introduce static into the field. Hold this knowledge alone. Let it work in you privately. After the meeting has occurred and the connection has begun to develop, you can share what is happening with the people in your life who can hold the development with appropriate care. But before the meeting, keep it close. Privacy is a form of incubation. The incubation is part of how the meeting matures into being. Here on Cancer Tarot, the closing of this transmission is also a kind of opening. I am ending this reading. You are entering a period in which what was conveyed begins to manifest. The transition between message and manifestation is yours to walk. I have walked with you as far as a reading can go. The rest of the path is yours, and it is not as long as it has felt. The destination is closer than the previous distance suggested. The walking will become easier as you continue. The arrival is approaching at a pace that may surprise you. You are going to meet this person. The meeting is going to happen in a context you are not currently anticipating. The meeting itself is going to feel quiet. The quietness is the marker of authenticity. After the meeting, the development will follow the phases I have described in their natural sequence at the pace that is right for both of you. You will not have to manage this. You will only have to be present, attentive, willing to engage with what is actually happening as it actually happens. The presence is the entire practice. There is no other practice required. The thinking you have been doing has done its job. You can release it now, not all at once, gradually. Each time the analytical mind begins running scenarios, gently return to the present. Each time the worried mind tries to figure things out in advance, gently return to the actual texture of the moment. Over time, the analytical and worried mind will quiet. The quieter mind is the mind that is most able to recognize the meeting when it occurs, most able to engage with the unfolding as it develops, most able to receive what is being offered without distorting it through preemptive interpretation. The quieter mind is the gift you give to the relationship that is approaching. Practice the quieting now, before the meeting, so that you are already practiced when the moment requires it. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are exactly on time, on a schedule that has been calibrated specifically for you by forces that have been paying attention to your life with more care than you have realized. The schedule is good. The schedule is now beginning to express itself in visible events. The first of those events is the meeting we have been discussing. Other events will follow. Each event is part of a coherent unfolding that has your name on it. The unfolding is not random. It is designed. The design has your well-being at its center. You can trust the design even when it does not immediately make sense, even when it surprises you, even when it requires patience that feels uncomfortable. The design is reliable. It will not let you down. Stop overthinking. Not because you should not think, because the thinking is no longer needed in the way it has been. The work of the mind has been completed. The work of the heart, which is a different kind of work, is what comes next. The work of the heart is more receptive, more responsive, less analytical. It involves staying present to what arrives, allowing yourself to be moved by what is moving, recognizing what is real when it appears in front of you. You are capable of this work. You have been preparing for it through everything you have lived. Now is the time to begin doing it. Open your hands, open your attention, open your life. The person is coming. You will know them when they arrive. The knowing will not be loud. It will be quiet and certain and yours. Trust it when it occurs. Trust yourself to recognize it. Trust the unfolding that follows. Everything is in place. You are ready. The arrival is not a fantasy. It is the natural conclusion of who you have become. Receive it as the answer to a question you have been holding for a long time. The question is being answered. The answer is good. The answer is yours.